Yeah.
Patrick collecting some leaf samples.
Show us. You can get off here.
Why does the thing keep splashing?
Lots of cool stuff in this little cove. Love this little cove. And you guys know about the alternate leaf dogwood?
No.
You know, dogwoods are said to always have opposite leaves, but not these.
Wow.
This one, which I was just terribly excited about, right above my stump, which is another thing I love about this lake.
Yep.
And this tree that's got kind of a greenish stem looks much different than the dogwood that is right back here behind me. So this one has alternate leaves, this one has opposite leaves. This one's called a pagoda dogwood commonly.
What is it? Flower.
Wood aster. Yeah.
So that is a Dutchman's pipe, which is a cool plant for South Carolina, very common in North Carolina.
Well, it's a cool plant, isn't it?
Very cool plant. And so if you know the pipe-vine swallowtails, they're like butterflies, this is what they eat. It's pipevine or Dutchman's pipe. And it's also called birthwort. Anytime you hear the word wart attached to a name, refers back to the doctrine of signatures. It's an Old English term for medicine. Okay? So birthwort, because this plant's called Dutchman's pipe, because the flower, when it is in flower, looks like a big old Dutchman's pipe with a chipmunk across the rock. I don't know if I got it. Oh, I can't show you. It's kind of brownish green, but it looks like a great big pipe. But it also looks like a female reproductive tract. From the opening all the way up to the bladder at the top being like a uterus. So because it looks like female reproductive tract, they thought it must aid in childbirth. So birthwort.
And the flower hides up under the leaf.
The flower hides up under the leaves. Yeah, it's just an inconspicuous little flower, but very cool looking flower. It's not a monocot or dicot. You remember when we were in school we learned about monocots and dicots? Yep. Monocots still exist, dicots don't. Turns out this plant is more ancient than monocots or dicots and forms the base of the family tree. And so monocots and dicots are derived from plants like Dutchman's pipe. So magnolias, water lilies, anise shrubs, sweet shrubs, wild gingers, Dutchman's pipe. Those are all what we call basilangias plants. Right here. See the vine going up the tree? Yeah. Well, that's Dutchman's pipe. Kind of an interesting plant. It has aristoloic acid in it. Another wart that's growing up there.
Patrick, you said dicots no longer exist.
That's right. We have tricolpates, monocots, and basilangiosperms for flying plants. This is another wart called the St. John's wort. You guys heard of that? Okay. This one is good for depression. It actually works, but not for what they thought it worked for, but it works. But St. John's wort is called also St. Andrew's cross because the little cross that the flower makes on this one. And hypericin is the compound that helps with depression and it smells like orange juice when you crush the leaves. And that's the actual chemical that, and all species of Hypericum, all species of St. John wort have that chemical in it. There's a sedge up there. I know that's not that exciting, but it was only discovered a few years ago, and it's named after my biology teacher or my botany teacher from Chapel Hill called Carex radfordi. It only grows in high pH soil derived from amphibolite and only right around Lake Jocassee. And then these are pawpaws.
Oh, okay.
And pawpaw is another basilangiosperm, not a monocot or a dicot, very ancient. When you look at this forest, a lot of these, the look of this forest, what you see up there would be the same sort of plants that the dinosaurs would have seen when they were crawling around on Earth. This is a pawpaw. Pawpaw leaves, when you squish them, they have ethereal oils, which are ancient oils. And when you squish them, they smell like a green pepper.
They do.
Oh, they do.
A bell pepper.
Yeah.
The fruit does not taste anything like that.
The fruit doesn't taste a thing like that
Yeah.
unless it's green.
Oh.
If it's not ripe, it tastes absolutely
That's not
acrid.
pepper.
But once it's ripe, it's undescribable unless you know what custard apples taste like.
I thought
Sour sauce.
Oconee Bell was selling them. They grow pawpaws there.
Yeah, best ice cream in the world.
It's really good. I don't know if you've ever, you know what a delicioso is? I grew up in Miami, and my father would grow them there.
So one of them.
Bell has pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they look like alligator, and you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
eat it till the
One
little
of them.
scales pop.
Yeah.
It to me tasted kind of like that.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's a sour sop or a sweet sop.
Sour sop. I've never.
Wanabana or custard apples.
Are they related?
Same group of plants.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I thought it was delicious.
somebody on this boat might know there's a song about picking up, or a poem, picking up pawpaws, putting them in the
Walking through the
pocket.
forest, picking up pawpaws.
Never know what you get on a cruise.
See what happens. People just lose their mind when they get out.
There's more interesting stuff about this plant. That big old pawpaw, if you've ever seen a pawpaw, is nothing. Is fruits are made for things to carry around. Because the idea when you produce a fruit is like a red fruit, you want a bird to come eat you, carry you away, disperse your seeds, and then drop you down complete with fertilizer already included, right? Well, pawpaw is that great big fruit, and nothing eats the seeds. Foxes and raccoons will eat the fruit, but they leave the seeds right below the mother plant. And you rarely see pawpaws on wild trees because most pawpaw populations today are single genetic individuals that spread through rhizomes. And there are very few that are actually two genetic individuals, and you have to cross a different genetic individual to set up a fruit. So that great big fruit is just like avocados, or another example, the Osage orange out in the Midwest, another example. They're fruits that were originally dispersed by elephants. And when the elephants went extinct in the New World, there's nothing around to disperse the fruit. So it's slowly losing genetic vigor and going extinct unless we were to bring them back together like we do in gardens and plant more than one genetic individual together, they'll actually produce fruit. So rarely do you see fruit in the wild. That's why. Because
Did they bear fruit, like, if you came, looked at them a certain time of the year, would there be a pawpaw fruit?
I doubt it. I know, 1 in 1,000 pawpaw plants has fruit on it because has to do with history. It's this long story, but once you lost elephants, you lost the natural dispersal mechanism. And then
So say that again.
yeah, so the
It's
fruits were
detailed.
eaten by elephants, and the seeds need to be scarified to come up. So they went through the gut of the elephant. When the elephant dropped them out the backside, they germinate.
Now the seeds don't digest.
Yeah, seeds don't digest. So today there's nothing big enough to eat that fruit and ingest the seeds and carry them away. The raccoons and the foxes just eat the fruit around the seeds and leave the seeds behind.
So the virtue of the elephant was he transported.
He
the seed.
transported it.
Okay.
So once the elephant went extinct, there was no way to get from one population to another population because you didn't have fruit going back and forth. But big pawpaw has stolons, has rhizomes, so it spreads. One tree becomes a lot of trees very quick because they sprout all over the place. They spread, they sucker. And so we see great big populations, but it's all one genetic individual in most cases. And the reason for that is not just because the elephant went extinct. When the elephant went extinct, you didn't have anything to move the seeds around. And then we came in the from late 1800s in this area up through the 1930s, and we clear cut all the forests. And when everything was clear cut around here, you took and you reduced, because pawpaw's an understory tree, it doesn't like to grow in the sun. And so you took all of the overstory away, you washed away the soil, you reduced the population, and maybe there was 1 or 2 plants left in the valley of pawpaw, and all the pawpaws we see have come out of those 1 or 2 plants, and they're all the same genetic individual, and pawpaws will not set fruit unless you cross 2 distinct different genetic individuals together. So throughout the southeast, it's very rare to find a pawpaw. Over on the other side of the Appalachians, more pawpaws because more high pH soil. Pawpaw needs high pH soil. So that's why we have so few